How concerned should we be about this spike when in just the last couple of hours we've seen a real retracement from the almost $78 a barrel that we saw earlier in the session?
Yeah, good morning, Kriti. For sure, oil is up and people are concerned, but at the level that we're at now at $75 a barrel, this is not oil is going to be cut off or supply interrupted concern. We're definitely not at that level yet. So it looks like we are trading based on a lot of geopolitical concern because there is, this intensifying Middle East war here between Iran and Israel. And the risk that everyone is looking for is that it does spread wider in the region. And we did see some concerning developments over the weekend when the first energy installations were impacted. We saw some fire at a refinery in Tehran, which was put out. We saw a fire at two gas processing facilities in the south of Iran that again were put up, but it did temporarily knock off one of the gas production platforms in the Persian Gulf. Iran is the third biggest producer in OPEC. It's got a huge offshore natural gas field. It's called South Pars. They share that with Qatar. The Qatari side is called the North Field. So it is a big energy provider, but the assets that have been hit so far have been mainly domestic. So that Tehran refinery supplies a lot of gasoline demand around the Iranian capital. The natural gas, although Iran has a massive resource base for natural gas, it's mostly used in the country. They have a huge domestic population and huge domestic energy demand, so a lot of that gas goes there. They don't really export gas. They don't have LNG. Sanctions have blocked them from being able to develop any LNG facilities. They do export condensate, which is a very sour kind of light oil that is produced with the natural gas, but most of that goes to China. And the Chinese have been cautious recently because of U.S. sanctions about buying Iranian oil, although they still are the main buyer. So really what we're looking for is signs of any impact on the oil production or the export facilities, which so far we haven't seen. But there is that concern that has driven the oil price higher since hostilities started on Friday. But again, we're not at that level where people are really pricing in any interruption of supplies yet.
Anthony, you would expect if there is a sustained rise in oil prices that President Trump would be on the phone to the likes of Saudi Arabia and the UAE to pump more oil. Do you expect that they would be willing to do that given the potential blowback from Iran?
Yeah, that's the main question there. That is a very narrow needle to thread that they've got to watch out because they do want to maintain stability in the market. If there are outages or interruptions, the position of OPEC and the position of OPEC with spare capacity is that they would go in and add supply. That's the whole idea of having the spare capacity. They would add supply to redress any shortfalls. But that political factor comes in if the Saudis, if the Emiratis, those countries that have the most spare capacity, if they're seen benefiting from something that is hurting Iran. Now, Iran, for a long time, its policy has been that if you hit our oil production, we will hit your oil production, or the West's ability, the developed world's ability to get oil. And so that's the big risk. Now, in this framework, though, the Gulf countries have really strengthened ties, particularly with Iran, because they don't want to be in the line of fire, and they want to have a region where there is not this conflict that allows the economies to grow. So really, what's happening already is a bad scenario for them. But then the Gulf countries, Saudi, UAE, Qatar, et cetera, being brought into this, into a widening war would be an even worse scenario. So they are really working and have been working diplomatically to avoid any kind of escalation like that and to improve ties. And so they're counting on those ties to kind of help smooth the conflict here and keep it confined, to Iran and to Israel. So they don't want to see that spread. So that would be a real conundrum if there were some interruptions. If prices are up because of this geopolitical concern, it seems difficult that they would add that much more oil. OPEC is already in an increasing mode because they have added about 400,000 barrels a day a month, reversing those cuts. So they are adding oil anyway.